Reforger is an annual exercise of the U.S. Army. With this exercise, the Americans test the procedures for a rapid reinforcement of the armed forces in Central Europe. The defense of Central Europe is provided by the Allied Forces Central Europe, abbreviated AFCENT. The units that are available to AFCENT are located in West Germany, but do not make up its full strength. In times of rising tension, the American units will also have to be reinforced. This must happen as quickly as possible. The movement of all personnel and material by ship from the U.S. to Europe would take too much time. Therefore, the U.S. has material for a great number of units already stored in Europe. This material is divided among depots in West Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands. The Netherlands has 4 of the depots. They are located in Coevorden, Ter Apel, Friesenveen, and Brunsum. In times of rising tension, the Americans have only to fly personnel from these units to the European continent. They draw the material out of the various depots and move to the operations areas in Germany. In a second reinforcement phase, still more units will be brought from the U.S. to Europe. The material for these units will come by plane and will pick up the material in European ports. During Reforger 1987, both types of reinforcement were tested. The Netherlands played an important role in this. In a period of 2 weeks, 13,000 Americans arrived at Schiphol Airport, Amsterdam. Half of these 13,000 practiced the first phase of the reinforcement, the drawing of material from the depots. After the equipment is drawn, the personnel are marshaled in a number of specially arranged areas and moved out from there by rail and by road to the exercise area in West Germany. The other half of the troops which landed at Schiphol practiced the second phase of the reinforcement. Their material had to be picked up from the port of Rotterdam. A part of this material went directly by train to Germany. Most went by road. A single unit went through by train.
Soldiers of the United States Army, welcome to the Netherlands. Welcome on behalf of the government and the people of the Netherlands.
We have quite a few women in the American forces, I think.
We are trying to increase the number a bit, but we don't always find them.
A total force of 6,500 Americans was transported by bus from Schiphol to the depot in the north of the country. The depots in Brunsum were also used. The personnel who had to pick up material there were flown in via Brussels. Such depots with American material are called POMs, for Pre-Positioned Organizational Material Set. In a large number of warehouses, greater in size than football fields, the material is already laid out by unit. The arriving personnel immediately begin taking receipt of the vehicles. The vehicles are then equipped with radio, weaponry, and the remaining appropriate supplies. The vehicle then undergoes a few checks and tests, such as a brake test. The whole procedure takes about 4 hours per unit. Then the material is complete and ready. The units leave the depot by road and drive to the marshalling area. On arrival at the marshalling area, everything is rechecked and retested. For the first time since their arrival from the United States, the troops get the opportunity to rest for a while. The units are definitively formed in the marshalling area, and after receiving permission to proceed, they then move to the exercise area. The wheeled vehicles normally go by road. The track vehicles drive to the railhead. At the railhead, the track vehicles are driven one by one onto the rail cars. This precision work is of enormous importance. 1 centimeter too much to the right, and the vehicle will overturn.
Having a problem there, Sarge? No! Got it! That's right.
Personnel who crew these vehicles travel on the same train to the training area in Germany. The other half of the personnel who arrived at Schiphol went by buses to Dordrecht to the driver's holding area. The personnel wait here for the ships carrying the materiel. Just as in the marshalling areas, special preparations are made to support the soldiers.
You can get him at McDonald's.
Billeting, security, medical care, communications and food, all must be arranged before arrival. This is a responsibility of the host nation, in this case the Netherlands. The National Territorial Command, a subordinate unit of the Royal Army, is responsible for this host nation's support. In the span of 2 weeks, 4 ships arrived in Rotterdam. More than 3,000 wheeled vehicles were shipped in this way. After arrival of a ship, personnel come from the driver's holding area in Dordrecht to Rotterdam to drive the vehicles off the ship. In addition to wheeled vehicles, track vehicles and containers are also unloaded. These are placed directly onto rail cars and go by rail to Germany. The wheeled vehicles go in a convoy to the driver's holding area, where they are formed into convoys to move by road to Germany. 130 helicopters in parts are also transported by ship. At the pier, the helicopters are reassembled, and after a test flight above the harbor, are flown to Eindhoven to await the call to take part in exercise Certain Strike in Germany. A special type of reinforcement is termed sea-air interface. Whenever it appears that a particular unit must be in the operations area as soon as possible, personnel, as well as material, are flown in by transport aircraft. This procedure was also exercised during Reforger 1987. After the material is picked up from Rotterdam, a last check is carried out in Dordrecht. The convoys are formed, and after permission is granted, begins the movement by road through the Netherlands to the exercise area. All movements are guided by the Royal Military Police. Permission for road use is given by the National Territorial Command. That function overlaps with the military police and the state police. After arrival in the exercise area, the NATO exercise Certain Strike begins. A total of 84,000 military personnel from the U.S., Great Britain, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands take part in this training. After the conclusion of Certain Strike, the personnel and materiel are returned to where they came from. The materiel that was shipped via Rotterdam is transported to Bremerhaven and goes from there back to the United States. The personnel are flown back to the U.S. from airports in Germany. The only personnel still to return are those whose task is the turn-in of equipment to the depots in the Netherlands. Vehicles are systematically cleaned, and weaponry, radios, and other equipment is removed and stored. The warehouses are again filled. Reforger 1987 is over.